2, 1. And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Very first episode of 20. You might hear, it is currently the loudest recycling truck outside. It's just slamming around. First episode of 2022. Here we are. We are doing it. Let's see. You might notice, if you're watching the video, you might notice a big old, huge difference in how I look and maybe even how I sound. I had to get a new computer. Just one day last week, I pushed out 4 episodes of News Time that needed to come out. The last 3 of 2021. As well as the first one of 2022. So I managed to get those out, and I'm technically back on schedule. And Thursday night, I go to pick up the laptop again to check on something, because one of the videos was copyright stricken, and they blocked it, YouTube, because it had an episode of Bluey playing in the background. No sound, only video. Jesus, YouTube is just garbage. Anyway. So I'm checking that. I literally pull out the laptop, open it, and I know the battery had at least 60% left, and it had gone to sleep. I press the button, won't wake up. I keep pressing the button, won't wake up. Press and hold, won't wake up. Try to discharge whatever's in the battery, still doesn't work. Try to charge it back up, doesn't work. Call Lenovo, they have nothing to say. Because it's out of warranty. And, my 7-year-old laptop kicked the bucket, I think, almost exactly 7 years, because I did get it around December of 2015, I believe. Or maybe December 2016. I know I got it when I was at NBC, so probably 2016. And so 6-7 years with that laptop, and it just kicked the bucket. But I do thank it for giving me the last 4 videos of News Time. And then Friday I said, oh my gosh, I can't, because all I have is my work laptop and then the iPad, and I had 2 options. I said, buy a new computer or use the iPad for an inordinate amount of time until I can figure out what's wrong with the laptop. Then I realized, yes, the laptop's old. Might as well just get the cheapest. Well, not cheapest, but try to get something new. So I wanted a Dell XPS. Couldn't afford a Dell XPS 13 laptop or 15. Well, one of the newer versions. And then I decided that let's get one of these little mini Macs, these Mac Minis that have been out for a bit, and now I have a Mac Mini. And then people ask the question, why do you have an Android? Why do you have a Mac? Why do you have iPad stuff? Because I like it. Because some stuff is better than other stuff. And you know what? It was easier to go into the Apple Store at Linux and pick up whatever this thing is. So yes, having a Mac is great. There's a lot of stuff. I'm definitely going to have to get some type of Windows laptop to go along with this thing, because there's just stuff I miss currently. But it's nice. I had to get a Mac Mini, and I got a what's it called? A desktop screen monitor is what people say. So yeah, and I got the cheapest monitor I possibly could, because I spent $700 on this Mini. No sales, even though there were sales a month ago. So that was my Thursday night going into Friday afternoon. I do thank who is it? Apple for being so accommodating to me. Thank you, Apple. I appreciate it. Let's get on to this first story, because I have things to do. First story is about NPR. And No longer do I have to worry about recording this show using the recording audio, recording video, and going on the internet at the same time. Because the Mac Mini, even the base model, is just that good. I can do everything at once. It's great. I'm not limited anymore. So let's get on with it. NPR has a big issue with retaining its talent. This comes from The Verge. NPR is losing top talent, -- Everyone has a theory why. This comes from Ashley Carman. Okay. So over the past couple of months, NPR, I would even basically the past year, NPR has been losing its biggest names. That includes Audie Cornish from All Things Considered. You know that voice. Noel King from Morning Edition, and Lulu Garcia-Navarro of Weekend Edition. Let's see, who else? Wait, what? Okay. Anyway, Joshua Johnson also left 1A. And then Shireen Marisol Meraji left Code Switch. Oh, did Sam Sanders leave as well? I didn't know that. Interesting. Oh, okay. No, he just mentioned it. So, we are seeing this, and I don't want to say exodus because that's not what it is, but we are seeing these people leave these jobs for something bigger and possibly something better. Joshua Johnson left 1A to host a show on MSNBC. Audie Cornish left All Things Considered, and it was announced just this morning that she joined CNN Plus as a contributor. I don't know if she's a host or anything, which she should. I wouldn't leave a hosting a news, like a radio job for a contributing job, but I hope she left. I mean, come on. Let me check her Twitter, because, and I'm not saying, yeah, she's on at CNN Plus. She is radio journal. Okay, no one's getting specific about this. Anyway. So NPR, it goes to show that, even public radio, they're in this, they're restricted with what they can do, with what they can say, and how far they can go, the contributors at least, and the hosts and everything, and even the pay is just not good. And if you're even if you're doing this kind of not at a middle of the road, when I say middle of the road, I don't mean bad. I mean middle of the road, like you're not doing Democrat news, you're not doing Republican news, you're just doing straight up news. You can only go so far when the paycheck can only take you so far. Who else left? Jacob Goldstein left Planet Money in September. A producer left All Things Considered. 2 HR employees who are partners of the news and programming division left as well. I mean, it's boy, oh boy, it just stinks. CEO from an email from the CEO and President John Lansing acknowledged Cornish's departure and the broader conversation happening around the moves. You can read the whole thing. They link to it in Miss Carman links to it in the Verge piece. But what she quotes is that all hands next week will, quote, talk about development and advancement at NPR for all staff, including our hosts. And also what's interesting is what Sam Sanders pointed out is that the people who left are all people of color. If you just especially listen to the names. Shireen from Code Switch, Joshua Johnson, he left. Audie Cornish. These are all people of color. Lulu Garcia-Navarro. They can only go so far. Or women. If you haven't noticed a turnover, it's pretty interesting to see. And and at some point, they're going to have to address to the public. NPR is going to have to address the public why this is happening. Now, I seem to recall maybe a year and a half ago that NPR also had. I saw a story from. Oh God, I don't even know if I still have this, but I was thinking about doing a news time about it, and how there was not a lot of possible advancement at NPR. Excuse me, I'm deleting the schedule for the last 4 episodes of News Time. Let me see. Control F, NPR. Working as a temp at NPR is filled with pressure. This comes from Washington Post. This is, I have to go to outline.com so I don't have to friggin' pay for Washington Post. Yes, I'm stealing this one news story. This was written December 9th, 2018, before the heartbreak. No, it was after. No, it was before. And I don't. I mean, I'll link to it. I'll link to this too. But it's basically, from what I remember, is this is in the wake of Me Too happening at news stations and or coming to light at news stations, where it was like going around, the entertainment industry and the business industry for a year or two before that, but now it had reached television news and just talks about how temps are. I mean, here's the thesis itself. Temps are often left in the dark about how long their assignments would last and how much they would be paid, who they're reporting to, or what their title is. And NPR, this is all NPR. It's just not. It wasn't a good place to work as a temp. And there's sexual harassment complaints. This is why I mentioned it. Against Michael Oreskes, the former head of the NPR's newsroom. According to union representatives, between 20 and 22% of NPR's 483 union-covered newsroom workforce, or 1 in 5 people, are temps. The number varies from week to week as temps come and go. So I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. I completely forgot about that story until now, and I guess I'll link that in this week's thing. Temp work at NPR is bad. You can only think of so much as you're working, as you're doing an episode of News Time. And possibly, I can only imagine that the NPR CEO John Lansing's next step after addressing why these people left and how advancement can happen for people of color and women of color. They're people too. Women of color, they're people too. This comes from Sarah Fisher at Axios. NPR is doubling down on podcast subscriptions. So right now, NPR is one of the leaders. If you look at this chart provided by Sarah Fisher, and the data is done by PodTrack. The chart was made by Will Chase at Axios. You'll see that NPR is right under iHeartRadio in terms of active shows and unique monthly audience. I'm looking at it right now, and it's very interesting to see that iHeartRadio has 619 active shows because I'm sorry, I just heard the cat do something. It has 619 active shows because they just buy the life souls of people. But NPR has 49 as of November 2021. 49, and it's only trailing iHeartRadio by 12.4 million listeners, unique monthly audience. So iHeartRadio leads with 32.6 million unique monthly audience. NPR is next with 20.2, then Wondery with 12.4, New York Times 9.4, Disney with 8.3, the Walt Disney Company. NBC News is 7.9, and it goes down from there. I don't know why Barstool. Don't listen to Barstool. Barstool's trash. They have, oh God. Of course they have 69 active shows. Jesus Christ. Okay, so NPR is going to add some new shows as well as subscriber-only bonus things to NPR Plus, which is, I think it's different from NPR One. None of this needs to exist. Subscription podcasts are basically going to help drive NPR, which is already pulling in a lot of money from donations because it is a public organization, but this is just another way to get it. Podcasting attracts a significantly younger and more diverse audience to terrestrial radio for NPR. If people, like for me, for instance, if I hear that when I first listened to Wait, Don't Tell Me or Ask Me Another, and I knew that those came on certain days, then I could go, I want to listen to this live instead of waiting for the episode to drop onto podcasting platforms. So there you go. Most of their revenue from NPR comes from affiliate fees and corporate sponsorships, is what I basically essentially just said. This is the same thing to. That's right. PBS has a subscription service called PBS Passport, where you pay a certain amount and you get to watch most of what PBS shows are. There's not a lot of their stuff's not on there. Like if you're looking for some documentaries that aired once on PBS and never aired again, then you're out of luck. There was when Hamilton came out, there was a Hamilton documentary that PBS aired once, and I for years I could never find it, and I would always there's another documentary that was also done for public broadcasting, and it's called Hamilton's America, and I kept thinking that one was it, and it's not. But there's another one that I eventually found, I would say last year on YouTube. Somebody uploaded it, and I just had to download it and keep it for myself because I've never seen it, even though Hamilton Mania is over and I'm over it. I needed to see that documentary. I don't think I've watched it at this point. So NPR Plus is going to allow you to pay to subscribe. You listen to your favorite NPR podcast. Free of sponsor messages is going to be $3 a month or $30 annually. To beef up the offering, which launched in August, NPR already launched. Okay, NPR is adding more shows and subscriber-only benefits to NPR Plus. NPR shares NPR Plus revenue with member stations and co-develops podcasts with some of its local members. That's how 1A was started. That's how a lot of their shows started. 1A and I Fresh Air's out of WHYY, and I don't know if it's an NPR affiliate, but yeah. So there you go. Let's see. Tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow there's going to be last Tuesday. There's going to be a new launch podcast, NPR Plus, with Jay Williams. I think it's probably going to be a sports one. Who knows? Because he was on ESPN. NPR has been experimenting with podcasts for a long time now, but now that podcasting is a big thing and, people will pay to see Conan O'Brien talking to a microphone for an hour, then this is going to be what they have. Anyway, got to move on. This is 17 minutes for one topic, or 12 minutes for one topic. Insane. This next one comes from Wall Street Journal, written by Joe Flint. WarnerMedia and ViacomCBS are exploring possible sale of the CW network. You know what? Let's move on because it turned out to be true. Mark Pedowitz, who is the CEO of the CW, put out a note to the staff last week that it is indeed for sale, written by Tony Maglio over at The Wrap. There's the only report of possible buyers includes Next Star Media Group, which I believe, and don't quote me on this. Actually, I'm going to double check before I even say this, because I think I know what they own, but I don't want to say it because I think one of them is, let's see, Antenna TV. They own Antenna TV, Rewind TV, and News Nation. That's exactly what I was thinking that they owned. They own News Nation. One of I think it's MeTV or one of these regular networks. I can't remember what they're called, but one of these regular broadcast networks that are only streamed in some states of the country and not others. Like the last company I worked for, Bounce TV, which is only in the South. And Court TV and all that stuff. One of them turned into OAN, which is now a right-wing news network. And so I just remember that. So Nexstar Media Group is reported to be one of the buyers. In fact, this is from Wikipedia. The company is the largest television station owner in the United States, owning 197 stations across the U.S., most of which affiliates with the four major U.S. networks, My Network TV, and the CW. So this would make sense for them to fully own a network in themselves. I'm continuing from the Wall Street Journal article. People close to the talks said that they are far along and an agreement could be reached soon, though the talks could fall apart. Obviously, that's how things happen. Now, Warner Brothers Now, this is a joint operation between Warner and Viacom, or ViacomCBS and WarnerMedia. If you recall, this used to be UPN, or the Underpaid Negroes Network. The joke's for 2 people, and 5 people listen to this. And I'm one of them. So it's for 1 person. And we've got an interesting development here. So it used to be UPN, and then it turned into the CW. It merged with the WB, and basically Viacom, CBS, and Warner took half ownership, like Hulu. A lot of the Warner Bros. Superhero shows are on there, like The Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, Legends, the Bebo Christmas special, all of it. And a lot of those shows that are on the CW, including Riverdale, or I don't know, is that a show? No, it's a Netflix show. Anyway, a lot of those shows that were on the CW, they signed deals with Netflix, and they do spectacularly on Netflix. But then last year, as HBO Max gained traction, all the shows essentially just either didn't renew deals with Netflix, or they're moving over to HBO Max entirely. Stargirl is an HBO Max, even though it was an HBO Max show, or it was a DC Universe show, I think. Then moved over to HBO Max, and then moved over to CW, but the streaming version goes on HBO Max. There you go. That's how it's going to happen. Same thing for Batgirl. Batgirl now goes straight to HBO Max. CBS also produces shows for it, including Walker, which is the reboot of Walker, Texas Ranger. I think Dallas is a CBS show. Who knows? I don't know. I don't really care. This makes sense that this network is going to go up for sale. It kind of stinks though. AT&T is spinning off WarnerMedia with Discovery this year. The deal is going to be done, and eventually in a couple of years, AT&T will be out of the TV business entirely when they make their billions that they lost back. And then Viacom CBS is going headfirst into Paramount Plus, as well as the Paramount Network, trying to get back into ruling the cable lands. So what will come of the CW? Nobody knows at this point. Who knows what the CW is going to look like and what it's going to be? I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of co-productions, unlike what Fox Broadcasting is doing with its shows, where they basically canceled shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or sold them off, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Because they didn't fully own the shows. I think that the CW with Nexstar is going to need a lot of money coming in, and they're gonna just expand it to 7 days a week for original programming from 8 to 10 in that primetime slot. And even though they have shows like not Comics Unleashed, but like Comedy 2.0 TV or something like that do horribly. They get literally 100,000 viewers, which is 999,099 more than I get for this show. They're going to have to make it up somewhere, and with they're gonna start signing more streaming deals. We're gonna sign a lot longer streaming deals with Netflix and such, and I think they're gonna try to keep shows like Riverdale and cult shows like, I assume Walker's doing pretty decently for it to have stayed on so long. I think they're trying to keep those shows as long as possible, or try to milk them as much as they possibly can. But it's just broadcast networking is more difficult than cable, because I mean, you have to fill episode orders. You have to have so much go right for something to work well on broadcast. Or a network has to have faith in you, which a lot of these networks don't, especially when they cancel shows after 2 or 3 episodes. This next one comes from The Wrap, written by Lindsay Ellison, New York Times, to buy The Athletic for $550 million in cash. So this was, again, another one of those rumors that happened last week, where it was like truly like an hour later, after it was rumored, they said, yeah, we're going to do it. Well, this is like a day later. The New York Times is going to buy The Athletic for $550. The acquisition will help the storied media company move closer to its goal of 10 million paid subscribers by 2025, adding The Athletic's 1.2 million subscribers added to the paper's existing stable of 8.3 million. Isn't that kind of cheating, though? That's like, I mean, that's such a very strange way to get your 10 million to spend 550. But if they have 10 million, then investors are going to say, hey, we should continue investing within the New York Times organization. Now, this is I assume this Athletic subscription is going to be rolled into the main New York Times subscription, just like they rolled the Wirecutter, which was a free resource that they did own, into Wirecutter is a website where a team of people buys and reviews with their own money. They don't accept these items. They buy and review the best stuff. The best monitor, the best phone, the best laptop, the best spatula. They buy and they review those things, and it takes them so long, and it's a very good website. I truly enjoy it, and I go to it like every day to see new lists and everything. And I love it, but they have been in the past, I would say 2 months, they've been on strike because they have their own union, the Wirecutter union, and they're trying to earn more money because the New York Times does not pay them well. And even though I am a subscriber to New York Times, I'm going to complain about things like that. You need to pay these people well, and you need to allow me to negotiate my subscription. $28 is too much. Okay. Boy, something just hit and fell. So Athletic will continue to be operated separately from the New York Times newsroom and sports section. Oh, interesting. I thought they would just fold that into the sports section. The paper said, though longtime Times executive David Perpich will assume the role of publisher. Oh, okay, good for him. The Athletic is I don't think I've ever gone to it on a regular basis, but it would be interesting to read another company that's not ESPN or Bleacher Report, because I think it's less toxic than Barstool. I just don't like Barstool, and yeah, it's good to have another thing like this. I don't know why they exactly need the Athletic, but I mean, because their sports section is pretty decent, and it's not like anybody goes to New York Times to just read about sports. I got to see how all the football teams did, but I want to see like the baseline. I don't want anybody to get in depth to it. I just want to see how they did it. The deal was complete as of January 6th. To some of you, it's Christmas. See what I did there. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. The Athletic launched 5 years. Oh, no, excuse me. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Here's the headline. Oh, the camera just died on me. Oh, okay. Well, it's back on. All right. Interesting. I don't know why it died. And I don't know why it popped back up. I don't like that at all. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. New York Times seals a deal to buy Athletic for $550 million. We learned, this is written by Alex Weprin, we learned the Athletic launched 5 years ago, the focus on subscription, local sports journalism. So I think, I mean, with that sub lead, that just tells you, I mean, kind of why they bought it. That it's a local thing, and if I go to the Athletic, and I want to read stories about the Atlanta Hawks that the AJC can't seem to muster to write about, or that one of these other ESPN or Bleacher Report can't seem to write well about, then this is going to be a lucrative deal for me as well. I don't think I've been to an Athletic in several months. The website has changed. It looks clean, and there's no ads. Also, my ad block is on, so I turn it off for the places I go to all the time. Like the New York Times. $28. The company also moved aggressively to podcasts, with sports-focused podcasts a consistently popular genre. The company also began to explore free ad-supported content, beginning with this podcast push. The focus on written audio journalism would seem to pair well with the Times, which has also invested substantially in audio. The Times, like The Athletic, is also focused on driving subscriptions, with advertising increasingly playing a smaller role in the revenue mix. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, as I just said. I have the ad block off for some of the websites. For Vox, which is a website that doesn't have subscriptions but does have donations, it is overrun with ads, with giant ads that just take over whatever I'm reading. But for the New York Times, since the ad block is off on that, I don't see much of anything, with the exception of just like the Amazon stuff and just tiny little banners and stuff and whatever. So good for New York Times. Don't screw this up and stop charging me $28. All right, let's scan over these. Scan over these last two. This next one comes from The Wrap, and it's a Wrap Pro piece. How Warner Bros. HBO Max experiment led to mixed box office results. So this basically written by Jeremy Fuster. This basically goes over what went wrong with the HBO Max releasing movies like Wonder Woman, all the way to, what was the last one? King Richard? Or no, The Matrix. All the way to The Matrix on HBO Max proper and in theaters, and how that didn't work. How that didn't work. Excuse me, I'm getting worked up. I've already discussed that Jason Kilar over at WarnerMedia basically took the blame, which I don't think he should have. But he basically took the blame for what happened and why these movies that didn't do more than $100 million, and the only two movies that did considerably well for Warner were Godzilla versus Kong and Dune, and why it matters. I mean, but they were stuck in. Here's the thing: they're stuck in a hard place, and they were the only studio. Jesus, this thing keeps going off. I wonder what's going on. All right, let me. Here, let's go to a break, and we'll come back in 1 second. Here we go. We're going to break in 3, 2. Anyway, we're back. Okay, let's continue doing this. So I think when I left off, I was talking about how WarnerMedia was stuck in a hard place, between a rock and a hard place, because they were the only studio to basically say, we're going to try this experiment. Whereas Universal said, hey, some of our movies are just going to go straight to streaming. And then Disney said same thing. And I mean, it kind of paints WarnerMedia as like the bad guy. I mean, what were you going to do? And yeah, part of this solution, or part of this decision, was to attract new subscribers to HBO Max. And you know what? It did it. And I mean, either way, the number is big, 73 million, I believe, point something million, close to 74. But let's just say that number would have been reached at that point regardless, because HBO does have the shows and they do have the originals and stuff that people would like to see. I mean, out of all of the subscription services, people were going to have Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. Or any combination of the three, excuse me. Any combination of the two, which is just two. Oh my God. I will say that I'm glad I did not spend a dime on, with the exception of the subscription, a dime on Space Jam: A New Legacy, because that movie sucked butt. And I saw In the Heights in theaters, so just like I saw what's that movie called? West Side Story in theaters. Go support. You know what? I can't even get into it. People complain about there not being people of color in like big movies, and then they go see Spider-Man 7 times in a row, but they don't see these movies where there's just gorgeous brown people dancing and singing. But I don't like musicals. Who cares? Who cares? Go see the movie. Jesus. So, take that as you will. I mean, what Jeremy has here is a fine written piece, but I just think that it is easier to not look. Mumble. Is the title of this episode. I spelled mumble wrong. Okay. We're going to save this last thing for the next episode because I kind of have to go. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com where there are so many different things that you will enjoy. I just thought that I should just finish it out, but I'm not going to. You can head to, if you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy where you can see me sitting at a same desk, camera's at a new angle. The lighting is harsh because the sun is shining bright because it is the morning that this episode is being recorded and is releasing the same day. But I look good. I look fantastic. New computer. Same attitude. Also as well. that should be the title. Oh God, I'm getting a huge cramp in my hammies. Oh my gosh, that's what happens when you run 4 miles every other day. News time, premiere show for the website, and it is a weekly show where I take one news story and digest it down and try to make it funny. It's like the Daily Show, except way less funny. Last week or this week's episode of this podcast was supposed to be recorded 3 days ago. Last week's episode is the blooper reel for last year, the second part of the blooper reel for last year. Admittedly, every year I do these blooper reels, and they're supposed to be, usually I have let's say 30 minutes of bloopers, and then I usually cut 3 minutes of bloopers. So only the good stuff gets put into across 2 parts, and they're usually 10 to 14 minutes long each. And this year I had 14 total minutes of bloopers, so I could not cut anything. So yeah, I mean, truth be told, I'm really good at the show. I'm so good now. Anyway, check out the blooper reel. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at C+Comedy, Twitter at C+Comedy. Me on all those at Chad Black White. Rate, review, subscribe to the show. I forgot how to end the show because I haven't done it in 4 weeks. I haven't done it since December 13th. So anyway, we're going to go right now. Goodbye.